Deep in the heart of Indonesia, hidden for millennia within the shadows of ancient caves, lies a discovery that has stunned archaeologists and historians alike. Paintings adorning these rugged walls, some dating back over 40,000 years, aren't just remnants of a distant past. They're a window into the minds of our earliest ancestors. But here's the twist. These artworks don't just tell us about the people who created them. They challenge everything we thought we knew about the origins of human creativity and the timeline of our civilization. What do these mysterious images truly reveal? Could they rewrite the history books, forcing us to reconsider where and how human culture first took root? In this video, we'll delve into the significance of these ancient masterpieces, explore their possible meanings, and uncover the groundbreaking implications they hold for our understanding of human history. Get ready to journey back in time, because what you're about to see might just change the way you think about our shared past. Stepping into the dimly lit caves of Chauvet in southern France is like walking through a time portal, transporting us back more than 30,000 years. Here, on the ancient walls, we find some of the earliest known examples of human creativity, vivid depictions of horses, lions, and even rhinos, rendered with astonishing detail and dynamism. These images aren't just random doodles, they are masterpieces of their time, created by people who shared our capacity for imagination and expression. Not far from Chauvet, the Lascaux Cave offers another breathtaking gallery of prehistoric art. Discovered in the 1940s, Lascaux's walls are adorned with scenes of herds of bison, deer, and other animals, painted with a keen eye for movement and proportion. What's striking about these works is not just their age, but the sophistication of the techniques used. Ancient artists relied on natural pigments, ochre, charcoal, and crushed minerals, and tools like brushes made from animal hair or their own hands to bring these images to life. But the story of cave art doesn't end in Europe. Recent discoveries in Indonesia and Spain have pushed the boundaries of what we thought we knew about early human creativity. In the caves of Sulawesi, Indonesia, paintings of wild pigs and hand stencils date back at least 45,000 years, making them some of the oldest known artworks in the world. Meanwhile, in Spain, the Cave of Altamira reveals a stunning array of bison painted in rich reds and browns, so lifelike that they were once dismissed as modern forgeries. These paintings are more than just art. They are a window into the lives and minds of our ancient ancestors. They tell us about the animals they hunted, the landscapes they inhabited, and perhaps even the spiritual beliefs they held. The careful use of color, light, and shadow suggests that these artists weren't just recording their world. They were interpreting it, adding layers of meaning that we are only beginning to understand. As we marvel at these ancient masterpieces, it's hard not to wonder what stories they were trying to tell. Were they celebrations of successful hunts, offerings to unseen spirits, or perhaps a way to pass down knowledge from one generation to the next? The answers may lie in the symbols and patterns hidden within these works, a topic we'll explore in the next part of our journey. What drove our ancient ancestors to create stunning artworks deep within the dark recesses of caves? The answer might lie in the very essence of what it means to be human. Cave paintings weren't just random sketches, they were profound expressions of early human life, capturing moments of both the mundane and the sacred. Some researchers believe these images were part of spiritual rituals, a way to connect with the unseen forces of nature or to honor the animals they depended on for survival. Others suggest they served as a form of storytelling, preserving knowledge and experiences for future generations. Imagine a hunter sharing the tale of a successful chase through vivid imagery, teaching younger members of the community about the dangers and triumphs of the hunt. But it's not just about survival or spirituality. these ancient creations might also represent something even more profound: the birth of human creativity and abstract thought. For the first time, our ancestors weren't just reacting to their environment, they were interpreting it, transforming it into something entirely new. This leap into imagination could have been a turning point, laying the foundation for art, culture, and even language. Think of it as humanity's first attempt to make sense of the world, to leave a mark that said, "We were here." And then there's the social aspect. Cave paintings could have been a communal activity, a way to strengthen bonds and create a shared identity. Picture a group gathered around a flickering fire, collaborating on a masterpiece that would endure for tens of thousands of years. It's a powerful reminder that art has always been a way to bring people together, to communicate ideas that words alone could never fully express. As we marvel at these ancient works, one question remains: how do we uncover the secrets they hold? The next step in our journey takes us into the world of science, where cutting-edge techniques are shedding new light on these enigmatic creations, revealing details that were once thought lost to time. As we peer into the mysteries of ancient cave paintings, modern science has become our most powerful tool. Gone are the days when archaeologists could only guess at the age of these remarkable artworks. Today, techniques like uranium-thorium dating allow researchers to pinpoint the exact time when minerals formed over the pigments, giving us a window into the past that's more precise than ever before. Imagine being able to look at a handprint or a depiction of a long-extinct animal and know it was created tens of thousands of years ago. That's the power of this technology. It's like having a time machine for art. But dating is just the beginning. Advanced tools like three-dimensional scanning have opened up entirely new ways to study these ancient masterpieces. By creating detailed digital models, scientists can examine every groove, stroke, and layer of pigment without risking damage to the fragile originals. This is especially important when dealing with paintings made with organic materials that have degraded over centuries. Yet, even with these tools, challenges remain. Interpreting the meaning behind abstract symbols or faded images is like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Without a Rosetta Stone for cave art, researchers must rely on context, patterns, and a healthy dose of creativity to decode what our ancestors were trying to communicate. One of the most groundbreaking discoveries made possible by these techniques comes from the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia. Here, cave paintings depicting wild animals and human-animal hybrids were dated to nearly 45,000 years ago, far older than the famous Lascaux and Chauvet Caves in Europe. This finding didn't just push back the timeline of human artistic expression, it shattered the long-held belief that Europe was the birthplace of figurative art. Suddenly, the story of human creativity became much more global and much more ancient. These scientific breakthroughs aren't just about adding numbers to a timeline. They're about understanding the shared threads of human experience that stretch across continents and millennia. From the stenciled handprints on Indonesian cave walls to the vivid animal scenes in France, each discovery reminds us that art has always been a fundamental part of what it means to be human. And as we continue to uncover these incredible works, we're left with a tantalizing question. Where else might the story of our earliest creativity be waiting to be found? This brings us to the next chapter in our journey, the global distribution of cave art and what it reveals about the interconnectedness of ancient cultures. As we journey across the globe, it becomes clear that ancient cave paintings are not confined to a single region, but are scattered across continents, offering a fascinating tapestry of human creativity. In Europe, the caves of Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain are renowned for their vivid depictions of animals like bison and horses, rendered with such detail that they seem to leap off the walls. Move south to Africa, and the Apollo 11 cave in Namibia reveals some of the continent's oldest known art, featuring abstract shapes and animal figures that hint at a spiritual or symbolic purpose. Across the ocean, the Americas boast sites like the Serra do Capivara in Brazil, where vibrant scenes of hunting and daily life paint a picture of early human existence. Even in Asia, the caves of Sulawesi in Indonesia captivate with their hand stencils and images of wild pigs, some of which are dated to be tens of thousands of years old. What's remarkable is not just the geographic spread of these artworks, but the themes that emerge. Animals, hunting scenes, and human figures appear repeatedly, suggesting a shared fascination with the natural world and survival. Yet, the styles and techniques vary widely. European art often leans toward realism, while African and Australian Aboriginal art tends to be more abstract, using patterns and symbols. These differences raise intriguing questions. Were these artistic expressions born from a universal human instinct, or did they develop independently, shaped by unique cultural and environmental context? As we ponder these connections, it's worth noting that some motifs seem to transcend boundaries. Handprints, for example, appear in caves from Argentina to Indonesia, as if early humans were leaving their mark literally for future generations to discover. Could these recurring symbols point to a shared language of art, or are they simply coincidental expressions of human creativity? This interplay of similarity and diversity sets the stage for our next exploration, where we'll dive deeper into the mysterious symbols and motifs that continue to puzzle researchers today. As we step deeper into the enigmatic world of ancient cave paintings, one of the most striking features is the recurring presence of certain symbols and motifs. Handprints, for instance, appear time and again, pressed onto cave walls in red and black pigments. But what do they mean? Some researchers suggest these handprints could be signatures of sorts, marking the presence of individuals or perhaps invoking a connection between the artist and the spirit world. Others see them as a way of claiming territory or commemorating significant events. The truth remains elusive, but the sheer prevalence of these handprints hints at their deep cultural significance. Then there are the animal depictions: bison, horses, mammoths, and more, rendered with astonishing detail and vitality. These animals weren't just random subjects, they were central to the lives of these early humans. One prevailing theory is that these paintings were part of hunting rituals, intended to ensure a successful hunt or to honor the spirits of the animals. But could they also have been teaching tools, passed down through generations to share knowledge about prey behavior or migration patterns? The possibility that these images served as an early form of education adds another layer to their meaning. Geometric patterns, too, appear frequently, with spirals, dots, and lines etched or painted onto the walls. While these shapes might seem abstract at first glance, some researchers believe they could represent celestial events, like the phases of the moon or the movement of stars. Others argue they might be early attempts at recording time or mapping the environment. Could these geometric designs be the earliest precursors to written language, a way for ancient people to communicate ideas that transcended spoken words? The debate continues, but what's clear is that these symbols were far from arbitrary. They carried weight and purpose. Spiritual beliefs also emerge as a likely explanation for many of these motifs. Handprints, animals, and geometric shapes might have been part of sacred rituals or shamanistic practices, serving as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. The caves themselves, often dark and difficult to access, could have been seen as portals to another world, making them the perfect canvas for these powerful images. Whether these paintings were prayers, stories, or records of celestial events, they reveal a deep connection between early humans and the world around them. As we reflect on these symbols, it's impossible to ignore the central role animals played in the lives of these ancient artists. From the majestic bison to the swift horses, these creatures weren't just food. They were symbols of power, survival, and perhaps even divinity. In the next section, we'll explore the fascinating relationship between early humans and the animals they depicted, uncovering how these ancient artworks might have shaped their understanding of the natural world. Stepping into the world of ancient cave paintings, one of the most striking features is the sheer dominance of animals. Bison, horses, and mammoths leap across the stone canvases, their forms vibrant with movement and life. But why did our ancestors choose to immortalize these creatures in such meticulous detail? For ancient humans, animals were more than just subjects of art. They were central to survival. Bison and mammoths, for instance, were vital food sources, their massive bodies providing sustenance for entire communities. These paintings might have served as a way to honor the hunt, a ritualistic acknowledgement of the animals that sustained them. But the significance of these depictions goes beyond mere survival. Animals also held profound spiritual and symbolic meaning. In many cultures, certain creatures were seen as embodiments of power, strength, or even supernatural forces. The mammoth, with its towering size and formidable presence, could have represented resilience or dominance, while the horse, known for its speed and grace, might have symbolized freedom or mobility. These paintings could have been a way for ancient humans to connect with the natural world, to express awe, reverence, or even fear of the creatures they shared their environment with. What makes these artworks even more fascinating is the evidence they provide about prehistoric ecosystems. The inclusion of now extinct species like the woolly mammoth offers a rare glimpse into the flora and fauna of the Ice Age. These paintings act as a kind of visual time capsule, helping scientists piece together the complex web of life that existed tens of thousands of years ago. The accuracy and detail in these depictions suggest that ancient humans were keen observers of their environment, attuned to the behaviors and physical characteristics of the animals around them. As we marvel at the artistry of these ancient painters, it's worth considering the deeper connections they were trying to convey. Were these images simply records of daily life, or did they hold greater cultural or spiritual significance? The answer might lie not just in the animals themselves, but in the human figures that occasionally appear alongside them. Moving forward, we'll explore the role of humans in these prehistoric masterpieces, uncovering what their presence or absence might reveal about the minds and societies of our distant ancestors. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient cave art is the depiction of human figures, a rarity compared to the abundance of animals. These rare portrayals offer us a glimpse into the minds and lives of our early ancestors. Take, for example, the enigmatic birdman figure found in the Lascaux caves of France. This hybrid being, part human and part bird, has sparked endless debate among archaeologists. Is it a shaman in a ritual costume, a deity, or perhaps a symbolic representation of transformation? The ambiguity of such images challenges us to think beyond the literal and consider the symbolic language of early humans. Equally intriguing are the dancing figures discovered in the caves of Sulawesi, Indonesia. These dynamic, human-like forms seem to capture movement and energy, hinting at social or ceremonial activities. Were they part of a ritual dance, a celebration, or a communal gathering? The interpretations are as varied as the scholars who study them, but what's clear is that these figures provide a window into the social and cultural fabric of early societies. They invite us to ponder questions about identity, gender roles, and the ways early humans organized their communities. Yet, interpreting these images is no simple task. Without written records, we're left to piece together the meaning through context, comparison, and educated speculation. The challenge lies in avoiding modern biases, projecting our own cultural frameworks onto a world that was vastly different. Were these figures meant to be literal representations, or were they metaphors for concepts we can only begin to understand? The answers remain elusive, but the questions themselves are invaluable, pushing us to rethink our assumptions about early human life. As we explore these depictions, we're not just looking at art, we're engaging with the stories, beliefs, and rituals of a distant past. And speaking of rituals, our journey doesn't stop here. Next, we'll dive into the spiritual and ritualistic dimensions of cave art, uncovering how these ancient masterpieces may have served as a bridge between the physical and the divine. What secrets might the caves still hold about the spiritual lives of our ancestors? The answers await. What if these ancient cave paintings were more than just art? What if they were windows into the spiritual world of our ancestors? Many researchers believe these enigmatic works served as part of shamanistic rituals or spiritual practices. Imagine standing in a dimly lit cave, the flicker of firelight casting shadows on the walls, as a shaman uses these paintings to commune with forces beyond the visible world. For ancient communities, these images might have been far more than decoration. They could have been sacred tools to connect with the supernatural, to seek guidance, or to honor ancestors. Some theories suggest that these paintings were used to commemorate significant events, rites of passage, seasonal changes, or even celestial phenomena. Take, for example, the famous Lascaux caves in France, where images of animals seem to dance across the walls. Could these depictions have been part of a ritual to ensure a successful hunt or to honor the spirits of the animals? The emotional and psychological impact of such practices would have been profound, uniting communities through shared beliefs and experiences. These paintings weren't just seen, they were felt, serving as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. As we ponder the spiritual significance of these ancient works, it's impossible to ignore the environment in which they were created. The caves themselves, with their echoing chambers and hidden passages, would have added to the mystical atmosphere. But why did our ancestors choose these specific locations? What role did the natural surroundings play in their rituals and art? These questions lead us into the next chapter of this exploration, the environmental context of cave art, and how the landscapes of the past shaped the stories our ancestors told. Cave paintings aren't just windows into the minds of our ancient ancestors, they're also snapshots of the world they lived in. The landscapes, climates, and ecosystems of the time are vividly reflected in these artworks, offering us a glimpse into an environment vastly different from our own. Take, for instance, the famous Lascaux caves in France. The images of bison, horses, and aurochs that adorn the walls don't just depict animals. They reveal a thriving ecosystem shaped by the conditions of the last ice age. These creatures weren't randomly chosen. They were integral to the survival and culture of the people who painted them. The Ice Age was a defining force in shaping the themes of cave art. As glaciers advanced and retreated, the environment shifted dramatically, influencing both the availability of resources and the way humans interacted with their surroundings. In colder periods, large herds of mammoths and reindeer roamed the tundras, and these animals became central figures in cave paintings. Conversely, during warmer interglacial periods, the art often depicted species like deer and wild boar, reflecting the changing biodiversity of the region. This dynamic relationship between humans and their environment is etched into the cave walls, offering us clues about how ancient communities adapted to climatic changes. But it's not just about the animals. The very act of creating these paintings tells us something profound. Cave art often appears in locations with specific environmental significance, such as near water sources or in areas where certain animals were known to gather. This suggests that our ancestors were deeply attuned to their surroundings, using art to mark and celebrate the natural world that sustained them. By studying these works, archaeologists can piece together not only what the environment looked like thousands of years ago, but also how it influenced human behavior and creativity. What's perhaps most striking is how these ancient artworks resonate with modern concerns about biodiversity and climate change. By examining the species depicted in cave paintings, scientists can track the presence or disappearance of certain animals over time. This provides valuable insights into how ecosystems have evolved and how they might continue to change in the future. In a way, these paintings are more than just art. They're historical records of our planet's ecological history. As we delve deeper into the stories these cave paintings tell, we begin to see more than just environmental clues. They also reveal the roles and contributions of the people who created them. Among these creators, women played a significant part. A thread we'll explore next, shedding light on their often overlooked influence in the world of ancient art. What do the ancient walls of caves tell us about the roles women played in prehistoric societies? From the enigmatic Venus figurines to the haunting impressions of female handprints, the representation of women in cave art offers a window into a world long forgotten. These depictions are more than mere artifacts. They are clues that challenge our understanding of gender roles in the distant past. Take the Venus figurines, for example. These small, exaggerated statuettes, often emphasizing fertility, have been found across Europe and beyond. But are they simply symbols of motherhood, or do they hint at something deeper? Perhaps a reverence for women as central figures in these early communities. Then there are the handprints, some of which can be identified as female based on finger proportions. Why were these women leaving their mark on the walls? Was it a way to assert their presence, to communicate, or perhaps to connect with something spiritual? These questions lead us to consider the possibility that prehistoric societies were far more complex than we've often assumed. Some researchers argue that these images suggest the existence of matriarchal systems, where women held significant power and influence. Others believe they point to a more balanced division of roles, where both men and women contributed equally to survival and culture. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear: these ancient artworks force us to rethink the narratives we've inherited about our ancestors. And as we ponder the meaning behind these female representations, we're drawn to another fascinating mystery hidden in the caves: a connection to the stars. Could these ancient artists have been looking not just at the walls, but also to the heavens? That's where we're headed next. What if the ancient artists who painted on cave walls were not just telling stories, but also mapping the skies above? Some researchers believe that these prehistoric masterpieces may hold hidden clues to early astronomy. Intricate patterns of dots, lines, and animal figures could represent celestial events like comets, eclipses, or even constellations. For example, the famous Lascaux cave in France features a series of dots that some experts argue might align with the Pleiades star cluster, a group of stars that has been significant to many cultures throughout history. Imagine these early humans living in a world without modern technology, gazing up at the night sky and trying to make sense of the cosmos. Their observations could have been a crucial part of survival, helping them track the changing seasons, predict weather patterns, or even determine the best times for hunting or planting. These cave paintings, then, might not just be art. They could be some of humanity's earliest attempts at understanding the universe around them. This theory opens up fascinating questions about the origins of scientific thought. If our ancestors were using art to document and study the stars, it suggests that the roots of astronomy stretch much further back in time than we previously thought. It also challenges the notion that early humans were solely focused on immediate survival. Instead, they may have been curious, observant, and deeply connected to the natural world, including the celestial phenomena that played a role in their daily lives. But as we marvel at these ancient works, it's important to consider the challenges of preserving them for future generations. The very environment that has protected these paintings for thousands of years is now under threat. How do we ensure that these windows into our past remain intact for centuries to come? As we marvel at the beauty and significance of these ancient cave paintings, it's impossible to ignore the challenges they face in our modern world. These delicate masterpieces, which have survived tens of thousands of years, are now under threat from forces both natural and human-made. Climate change, for instance, is altering the very environments that have preserved these artworks for millennia. Rising temperatures and shifting humidity levels can cause paint to flake off or surfaces to crack, accelerating their deterioration. Add to that the impact of tourism. While a boost for local economies, the presence of visitors introduces moisture, carbon dioxide, and even physical damage from accidental touches or misplaced steps. But the threats don't end there. Vandalism remains a heartbreaking issue, with some individuals defacing these priceless works out of ignorance or malice. Natural erosion, too, continues its slow but relentless work, wearing away at the rock faces that cradle these ancient stories. It's a race against time, and archaeologists and conservationists are on the front lines, using cutting-edge technology and painstaking methods to preserve what remains. From 3D scanning to carefully controlled environments, their efforts are nothing short of heroic. Yet, this raises a profound ethical question. How do we balance the desire for public access with the need to protect these fragile treasures? Should some caves remain off-limits to visitors, preserved for study and future generations? Or is it more important to share these wonders with the world, even if it means risking their gradual loss? It's a dilemma with no easy answers, but one that underscores the deep responsibility we bear as stewards of humanity's earliest art. And speaking of art, these paintings aren't just static images. They're part of a much larger story, one that connects us to the minds and hearts of our ancient ancestors. But what were they trying to tell us? To explore that, let's turn our attention to the role of storytelling in cave art and the fascinating narratives hidden within these ancient walls. What if the ancient caves were more than just shelters or galleries? What if they were the very first theaters where stories came to life on stone canvases? Cave paintings, often dismissed as primitive doodles, might actually be some of humanity's earliest attempts at storytelling. These images could have been the way our ancestors passed down myths, legends, and even historical events long before the written word existed. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, someone stood in the flickering light of a torch, carefully etching a hunt, a ritual, or a celestial event onto the wall. These weren't just random drawings, they were narratives carefully crafted to communicate something profound. Ancient artists used a variety of techniques to tell these stories. They played with scale, for example, making certain figures larger to signify their importance. They also used composition to guide the viewer's eye, creating scenes that unfolded like a visual journey. Some paintings even appear to have sequences, almost like a prehistoric comic strip, depicting events in chronological order. These choices weren't accidental, they were deliberate storytelling tools designed to convey complex ideas and emotions. What's truly fascinating is how these stories connect us to our ancestors. Through these images, we catch a glimpse of their worldviews, their fears, their triumphs, and their spiritual beliefs. A painting of a hunting scene isn't just about survival, it's a window into their relationship with nature. A depiction of a shamanic ritual might reveal their understanding of the divine. These stories, etched in stone, transcend time, offering us a bridge to the minds of those who came before us. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. What if these stories weren't just visual? What if they were accompanied by music, chants, or drumbeats that echoed through the caves? As we explore these ancient narratives, we're led to the next piece of the puzzle, the role of sound in cave art. Could music have been the missing link that brought these stories to life? Let's dive deeper into that idea next. Deep within the shadowy chambers of ancient caves, the walls are not just adorned with paintings, they are alive with echoes. These spaces, carved by nature over millennia, possess unique acoustic properties that amplify even the softest whisper into a haunting resonance. It's no coincidence that many of the world's most famous cave art sites, like Lascaux in France or Altamira in Spain, are found in spaces that seem to sing. But what if sound itself played a role in the creation and use of these ancient masterpieces? Researchers have long wondered if early humans were drawn to these caves not just for shelter but for sound. Studies have shown that certain chambers act as natural amplifiers, creating an immersive auditory experience. Imagine standing in one of these spaces thousands of years ago, the flicker of a torch casting shadows on the walls, while the rhythmic beating of a drum or the rise and fall of a chant filled the air. These soundscapes could have transformed these caves into sacred spaces, where art and music intertwine to create powerful rituals. Some theories suggest that music and chanting were integral to the spiritual practices of these ancient communities. The act of painting itself might have been accompanied by sound, a way to connect with the unseen forces they believed inhabited the walls. Drumming, for instance, could have been used to induce trance-like states, allowing the artists to channel their visions onto the rock. The combination of visual and auditory stimuli would have heightened the emotional impact of these rituals, making the experience unforgettable for those who participated. But the connection between cave art and sound goes even deeper. The placement of certain paintings suggests they might have been positioned to interact with the acoustics of the cave. Handprints, for example, are often found in areas where echoes are strongest, as if the artists were literally leaving their mark on the sound itself. This interplay between art and acoustics raises fascinating questions about how early humans perceived their world and how they communicated within it. This brings us to another intriguing possibility: the role of sound in the development of early language. Could the echoes of these caves have inspired the first attempts at human speech? As we explore this connection in the next section, we'll uncover how the art of the ancient world might hold clues to the origins of language itself. What if the ancient handprints and swirling patterns on cave walls were more than just decoration? What if they were the earliest attempts at language, a way for our ancestors to communicate ideas, stories, and even emotions? When we look at cave art, we're not just seeing pictures of animals or abstract shapes. We might be witnessing the birth of symbolic communication, a crucial step in the development of human language. Think about it, early humans didn't have words as we know them today. Instead, they used symbols and images to convey meaning. A simple drawing of a bison might not just represent the animal itself, but could signify a hunt, a warning, or even a spiritual connection. Some researchers believe these symbols were a kind of visual vocabulary, a way to share complex ideas without spoken words. This theory gains even more weight when we compare these ancient symbols to early writing systems. For example, the pictographs found in caves bear striking similarities to the earliest forms of writing, like Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform. Both use simplified images to represent objects, actions, or concepts. What's fascinating is that this leap from art to language might have been more intentional than we realize. Cave artists weren't just doodling, they were creating a shared system of symbols that others could understand. Over time, these symbols could have evolved into more structured forms, laying the groundwork for the alphabets and scripts we use today. It's a reminder that language isn't just about words, it's about the ability to share ideas, and cave art might have been our first step toward that ability. And here's another intriguing layer to this story. Some of these ancient symbols might not have been created by adults at all. Evidence suggests that children were also involved in making cave art, leaving their own marks on the walls. But what does this mean for our understanding of early communication? That's a question we'll explore next as we turn our attention to the role of children in these ancient artistic practices. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient cave art is the unmistakable presence of children. Scattered across the walls of these ancient spaces are tiny handprints, often so small they could only belong to children. These prints, alongside simple, playful drawings, tell a story that goes beyond mere decoration. They suggest that children were active participants in the creation of these works, offering a rare glimpse into their lives tens of thousands of years ago. What does this mean for our understanding of ancient societies? For one, it challenges the assumption that cave art was solely the domain of skilled adult artists or shamans. The inclusion of children's handprints and rudimentary designs hints at a more communal and inclusive process. It's possible that these spaces were not just for ritualistic or artistic purposes, but also served as places where children learned and practiced their craft, much like a prehistoric classroom. This evidence also reshapes how we think about education and socialization in prehistoric times. If children were involved in creating art, it suggests that they were integrated into cultural practices from a young age, learning through participation rather than passive observation. These activities may have been a way to pass down knowledge, stories, or traditions, embedding them into the fabric of the community. The presence of children's art also raises intriguing questions about the purpose of these caves. Were they sacred spaces, or were they more akin to communal gathering spots where all members of the group, regardless of age, could contribute? The answers might lie in the details of the art itself, including the materials used and the techniques applied. Speaking of materials, the next section will explore the role of color in cave art and how ancient artists sourced and used pigments to bring their visions to life. What is it about color that captivated ancient artists thousands of years ago? When we look at cave paintings, the vibrant hues of ochre reds, deep blacks from charcoal, and rich browns of manganese leap off the stone walls, telling stories that resonate even today. These natural pigments weren't just decorative, they were carefully chosen and meticulously prepared. Ancient artists ground minerals into powder, mixed them with animal fat or water, and applied them using brushes made from animal hair or even their own hands. The result, art that has endured for millennia. But color wasn't just about aesthetics, it carried meaning. Ochre, for example, might have symbolized life or blood, while black could represent the unknown or the night. The emotional weight of these colors likely played a significant role in how these images were understood, whether they were used in rituals, storytelling, or as a way to connect with the spiritual world. The sheer effort to create these pigments suggests that color was deeply valued, not just for its visual appeal but for its symbolic power. Interestingly, the use of these pigments also hints at something larger: connections between distant communities. The materials used in cave art weren't always local. Ochre, for instance, could be sourced from far away, suggesting that early humans were already engaging in trade or travel long before written history. This raises fascinating questions about how these ancient networks might have operated and what role art played in fostering relationships between groups. As we marvel at the artistry of these ancient creators, it's hard not to wonder how these early exchanges of materials and ideas laid the groundwork for the complex trade systems that would follow. When we look at the vibrant pigments and intricate tools used in ancient cave art, it's easy to focus on the creativity behind them. But what if these materials tell a story much bigger than art itself? Many of the minerals and pigments used in cave paintings like ochre, manganese, and charcoal weren't always locally sourced. In fact, some of these materials appear to have traveled great distances, suggesting early trade networks that connected far-flung communities. Imagine a world where red ochre from one region was exchanged for flint tools from another, creating a web of exchange long before formal economies existed. These early trade routes weren't just about resources, they were conduits for ideas. As materials moved from one group to another, so too did artistic techniques and cultural practices. We see evidence of this in the similarities between cave art found in distant regions, shared motifs, techniques, and even color palettes that hint at a deeper connection. This wasn't just art for art's sake, it was a form of communication, a way for early humans to share their stories, beliefs, and identities across vast landscapes. What's fascinating is how these networks challenge our understanding of early human societies. Trade suggests not only cooperation between groups, but also a level of organization and planning that we often don't associate with prehistoric communities. It paints a picture of a world where humans were already thinking ahead, valuing resources, and building relationships that went beyond their immediate surroundings. And as these connections grew, so did the complexity of their art, evolving into the breathtaking masterpieces we marvel at today. But there's another piece to this puzzle, one that was essential to the creation of cave art itself. The use of fire, not just for survival but as a tool for artistic expression, played a crucial role in the development of these ancient works. Imagine standing deep within a dark cave, the only light coming from the flickering flames of a fire. The walls around you are adorned with ancient paintings, but in this dim, unpredictable light, they seem to come alive. The figures of animals and humans shift and dance with the movement of the flames, creating a dynamic, almost magical experience. This is how our ancestors might have viewed cave art, not as static images, but as living, breathing stories illuminated by firelight. Fire wasn't just a practical tool for ancient humans, it was deeply intertwined with their rituals and beliefs. In the context of cave art, firelight would have added a layer of drama and mystery. The shadows cast by the flames could have transformed simple paintings into immersive narratives where the viewer felt part of the story. For example, a painting of a bison might appear to move as the firelight flickered, suggesting the animal's vitality or even its spirit. This interplay of light and shadow wasn't just artistic, it was spiritual, connecting the physical world with the unseen forces our ancestors believed in. The symbolic role of fire in these spaces is also worth considering. Fire represented warmth, safety, and life, but it also had a sacred dimension. In many ancient cultures, fire was seen as a bridge between the human and divine realms. Using fire to illuminate cave art might have been a way to invite the divine into the experience, turning the act of viewing into a form of communion. The cave itself, with its natural acoustics and secluded atmosphere, would have amplified this sense of awe and reverence. As we reflect on how firelight transformed cave art into a multisensory experience, it's impossible not to wonder about the broader role of these caves. Were they merely canvases for artistic expression, or did they serve a deeper, more sacred purpose? This leads us to our next exploration, the idea of caves as sacred spaces, where art, nature, and spirituality converged in ways that continue to captivate us today. Caves weren't just practical shelters for ancient humans. They were profound sanctuaries, places where the boundaries between the earthly and the spiritual seemed to blur. Imagine stepping into the cool, echoing chambers of a cave, where the flicker of firelight danced across walls adorned with intricate paintings. These spaces weren't chosen at random. Their natural features played a pivotal role in shaping their significance. Stalactites hanging like ancient chandeliers, chambers that seemed to whisper with the echoes of the past, and the eerie stillness of the underground all contributed to a sense of the sacred. It's as if the caves themselves were alive, breathing with a kind of primordial energy that inspired awe and reverence. The placement of cave paintings often aligns with these natural elements, suggesting that the art wasn't just decorative but deeply symbolic. A painting of a bison might emerge from the curve of a rock, as if the animal were emerging from the earth itself. Handprints might cluster near narrow passages, perhaps marking a threshold between the known and the unknown. These artworks weren't just expressions of creativity, they were acts of communication with something greater, an attempt to connect with the spiritual forces believed to inhabit these spaces. For ancient humans, caves were more than shelters. They were portals to a world beyond the everyday, places where the sacred and the mundane intertwined. This spiritual connection to caves likely shaped their cultural practices too. Rituals, ceremonies, and storytelling might have unfolded beneath those ancient ceilings, with the paintings serving as both a backdrop and a participant in the drama. The caves became a canvas for human identity, a space where the mysteries of life and the cosmos were explored and honored. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this story, we'll see how animals played a central role in shaping that identity, reflecting not just survival but a deeper understanding of humanity's place in the natural world. One of the most striking features of ancient cave paintings is the sheer abundance of animals depicted on those weathered walls. From wild bison to majestic horses, these images are far more than just artistic expressions. They're windows into the deep, interconnected relationship between early humans and the natural world. For hunter-gatherer societies, animals weren't just sources of food or danger. They were central to survival, spirituality, and even identity. The act of painting them may have been a way to honor, understand, or even exert control over the natural forces that shaped their existence. Consider the famous Lascaux cave in France, where the walls are alive with the energy of animals in motion. These images weren't just decorative, they were likely tied to rituals or beliefs about hunting success, fertility, or the cycles of life and death. In a world where humans were deeply dependent on the environment, these paintings served as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. They remind us that early humans saw themselves as part of a larger ecosystem, not separate from it. As societies evolved, so did the relationship between humans and animals. The domestication of species like wolves, cattle, and goats marked a turning point in human history, and this shift is subtly echoed in later cave art. Symbols of cooperation and coexistence began to emerge, reflecting a new dynamic where animals were no longer just prey but partners in survival. This transformation shaped human identity in profound ways, laying the groundwork for agriculture, settlement, and the rise of civilization. Even today, the connection between humans and animals remains a powerful theme in art and culture. From ancient cave walls to modern galleries, this bond continues to inspire and reflect our shared history. These early artworks aren't just relics of the past, they're a testament to the enduring relationship that has shaped who we are. As we uncover more about these ancient masterpieces, they're also revealing new insights for modern archaeology. The techniques and materials used in cave art are helping scientists piece together the lives of our ancestors in ways we never thought possible. Cave art has long been a cornerstone of our understanding of early human history, but the way we study these ancient masterpieces has transformed dramatically over the centuries. When the first cave paintings were discovered in places like Altamira and Lascaux, they were often met with skepticism, even dismissed as hoaxes. Yet, as more sites came to light, the scientific community began to recognize their profound significance. Early researchers relied on rudimentary tools and methods, painstakingly documenting the art by hand, sketching and photographing each detail. While these efforts laid the groundwork, they were limited by the technology of the time. Fast forward to today, and the field of cave art research has entered a new era. Advances in technology have revolutionized how we analyze these ancient works. Archaeologists and anthropologists now use 3D scanning, high-resolution imaging, and even artificial intelligence to uncover details invisible to the naked eye. These tools allow us to study the pigments, brushstrokes, and even the handprints of the artists who created these works tens of thousands of years ago. We've learned that these paintings weren't just random doodles, they were intentional, sophisticated expressions of culture, spirituality, and identity. But with these advancements come new questions and debates. Experts still grapple with the meaning behind the art. Were these paintings religious symbols, storytelling devices, or records of daily life? Some researchers argue they served as prehistoric maps, while others believe they were part of shamanic rituals. The lack of written records from this time means we may never know for sure, which only adds to the allure of these ancient masterpieces. What's clear is that each discovery brings us closer to understanding the minds of our ancestors, and the mysteries don't stop there. Recent findings in caves across the globe suggest that cave art may have been a global phenomenon, not limited to Europe as once thought. Sites in Indonesia, Australia, and South America are revealing artworks that challenge our assumptions about early human migration and cultural exchange. These discoveries are reshaping the narrative of human history, proving that our ancestors were far more interconnected and innovative than we ever imagined. As we continue to uncover new clues, one thing is certain: the study of cave art is far from over. In fact, we're only scratching the surface of what these ancient paintings can teach us. And with even more advanced technologies on the horizon, the future of cave art research promises to be as exciting as the discoveries of the past. So, what's next in this ever-evolving field? Stick around as we explore the cutting-edge innovations that are set to redefine how we understand these incredible works of art. As we venture deeper into the mysteries of ancient cave paintings, it's impossible to ignore how modern technology is reshaping the way we study these extraordinary artworks. Imagine being able to peer into the tiniest details of a 40,000-year-old mural, uncovering layers of meaning that were once invisible to the naked eye. Advances in artificial intelligence and imaging techniques are doing just that, opening up unprecedented possibilities for researchers. AI algorithms can now analyze patterns, colors, and even brushstrokes to identify connections between different artworks, offering fresh insights into the lives and minds of our ancient ancestors. One of the most exciting developments is the use of high-resolution 3D imaging. This technology allows scientists to create digital replicas of entire cave systems, preserving every detail without risking damage to the originals. These virtual models can be studied by researchers around the world, making it easier to collaborate and share discoveries. Additionally, multispectral imaging can reveal hidden layers of paint, exposing older artworks that were painted over by later generations. This not only helps us understand the chronology of these sites, but also gives us a glimpse into how ancient societies evolved over time. But it's not just about uncovering new details, it's about preserving what we already have. Climate change, tourism, and natural erosion are constant threats to these fragile masterpieces. By using non-invasive techniques, researchers can monitor the condition of cave art without disturbing it, ensuring that future generations will have the chance to study and appreciate these windows into our past. The urgency of this work cannot be overstated. Every day, these irreplaceable pieces of human history are at risk of being lost forever. As we look to the future, the potential for new discoveries is limitless. What might we learn about the beliefs, rituals, and daily lives of ancient humans as these technologies continue to evolve? And how can we use this knowledge to better understand our own place in the world? These are questions that drive researchers forward, fueled by a passion to uncover the secrets of our shared heritage. This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the enduring legacy of cave art. What do these ancient works mean to us today? How do they connect us to the people who came before us? And what can they teach us about the human experience across time? As we wrap up this journey into the mysteries of ancient cave paintings, it's clear these remarkable artworks are far more than just relics of the past. They are windows into the minds of our ancestors, offering glimpses of their lives, beliefs, and creativity. These paintings challenge what we thought we knew about early human history, pushing back timelines and revealing sophisticated expressions of art and symbolism that were once thought impossible for their time. What's truly fascinating is how these ancient masterpieces continue to connect us across millennia. They remind us that curiosity, storytelling, and the desire to leave a mark are timeless human traits. From the vibrant depictions of animals to the enigmatic handprints and symbols, these caves hold secrets that spark endless questions and inspire us to rethink our origins. So, what other mysteries might these ancient canvases still hold? Could there be undiscovered paintings waiting to reveal even more about our shared past? The more we uncover, the more we realize how much there is still to learn. If these discoveries have sparked your curiosity, let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. And if you're hungry for more explorations into history's greatest mysteries, don't forget to subscribe and join us as we continue unearthing the stories that shape our world. Together, let's dive deeper into the past to uncover the secrets that wait just beneath the surface.